Now remember, he was 6 years older than me, and
You
so.
gotta start again, cause you didn't come on right as he said it. So, start again, please. My brother Leon.
Okay, my brother Leon was 6 years older than me, and so so in that period growing up, I didn't have a lot of contact with him because I was in this elementary school over here. He was in the high school over there, so I never knew anything about his being in school. But I do remember several things. He played the trombone in the band, and of course I never heard him play the trombone, but he played the trombone in the band, and I always remember he got a bicycle, and it's interesting because I see all these people with these little bicycles. Everybody's got bicycles, and for the children and so on. But Leon got a used bicycle, called a balloon tire, and it had little white sidewalls, and the tires are about that big, and you put air in them, and so that bicycle, you put it in the living room, and turn it up, on the seat, and I would watch the wheels go around, and that was my entertainment on that balloon tire bicycle. I always remember that. The time I was hit by that car, they had to put some clamps in the back of my head, and I don't know, a couple of months later, and I was out of school for several months. A couple of months later, Leon and I were wrestling, and I hit my head on the bed, and it started bleeding. I always remember that. And then, so when you graduated, again, I didn't go to his graduation, but this is when he went to the 3C camps, Civilian Conservation Corps, which was a program set up by Roosevelt during the Depression years. Now this was 19, when did he graduate? 1939, 1940, 1940, whatever. And so he went to this 3C camp, and this was conservation, planting trees and so on. And so he was there, and after a year, then James joined him, and he went there. And I told you earlier that Leon was always boxing on the canal, so he started boxing in the 3C camp. And James was boxing, and so Leon would have a fight and win, and James would then come up next and have a fight and win, and they called him the BBs, the Battling Brothers. And so then he left 3C camp and went to Washington. I told you about that. He went to Washington and worked and continued to box. And I visited one summer. I was 15. I visited, and I always remember I'd go watch him train and train and so on, and then go to Griffith Stadium. There was a Griffith Stadium then, and he would box there, 3 rounds, 6 rounds, and so I'd go there and and then watch him as he trained. And I always remember going to Howard at the track, and I'd carry his bag and sit on a little railing there and watch him run around the track and then carrying his bag. And I always felt so great just carrying his bag and then seeing him box. And as I said, if it was like 4 rounds, say the first 2 rounds, he'd win very clearly. And then he would start getting weak because he didn't have any strength. He didn't have physical strength.
Didn't have stamina.
He didn't have stamina because, again, growing up without any food and so on. So I'd watch him box, and then he went to, where was in Massachusetts. I remember he went to box there, and he came back, and I had a job at this place called Bassin's Restaurant. It's very famous right there on the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and whatever. And I had a job there as a busboy. And I remember Leon came and he's wearing his glasses. And he said, yeah, I was in Roxton, Mass. And look, I want to show you something. Took off his glasses. Excuse me. And he had two black eyes. And he said, oh, yeah. I said, I need a little money. So I gave him some money. And then he was driving a cab. I mean, he was driving a taxi. I remember that. And then oh yeah, I said I was 15 when I went there, and I stayed with Leon and James and another fella. And Leon and James, they put me in the middle, so I'm between the two of them. I'm being squeezed, and it was hard, and I had to go to sleep. But
The three of you slept in the one bed.
mhm. And the other fellow named Pick, he had a little bed over there. And in the middle of the night, I would hear these footsteps, chop, 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 chop. I think, what's going on? Then silence, and I'd hear another chop, 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 chop. Then silence, another chop, 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 chop. And then I discovered that Leon and James and Pick, they were going down to rob the lady's Frigidaire and get food. So I joined in. And so this one night, everything, I went down. I came back and they burst out laughing because the lady had put a lock on the Frigidaire. So I always remember that. And then with Leon, I remember walking along U Street, and we'd stop and get slices of, he always called it a slash of watermelon. We'd get a slash of watermelon. And then I remember with Leon and James, I went to see Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind. And this was at Lincoln, Theater, and the movie house. And I always remember we saw it, and at the very end, when Clark Gable said, what am I going to do? He said, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And the whole the crowd, the audience, they just jumped up and cheered. It was something. And
that's the first time "damn" had been used in a movie.
That's right. That's right. But it was just stunning. And then I guess I remember when Leon he left. Then he went to New York to go to New York University.
Do you remember what he was studying?
He was going to be the first welterweight champion who had a medical degree. And so he was there, and then I was back at Ohio State, and I got this call from Loudon, who was Lillian's husband, and he said that your brother has died. And then I talked with James later, and James had been at work, and rather than, he'd always take the local train up to Harlem rather than the express, so he could read the newspaper. And he said he's on the train, and he turned to this page, and it said, young fighter dies. On his way to train with Joe Louis. And James put the newspaper down, picked it back up, and he couldn't believe it. And so that evening he went to, I guess nurses in Brooklyn to the morgue. And I don't know who called Mama, and she said, "Oh, Leon has died." And now Leon had been to visit you. I think you were 1 day old, and he saw you that night. And the next morning, he was out running in Prospect Park, and they found him. He was leaning over the bridge, and the police saw him and thought that he was resting, and he was dead. He was dead. So that's how James found out from the newspaper, and then Mama and Dad and with Mama, and then they had this service for him in Franklin.
Now let me go back just a moment, because you're at Ohio State at the time. So he was 28, and you're 6 years younger, so you're 22 at Ohio State. You got this brother that's your older brother. He's an athlete. So when you get this call from Loudon,